And now we are thrilled to welcome Frontline Arts to the virtual stage. Frontline Arts is a collaborative network of artists, art administrators, engaged citizens, justice advocates, and policy researchers, which seeks to support frontline arts and cultural organizations in Buffalo in the transition from conditions of precarity to viability. Today, we are joined by Maria Ta and Heather Gring, who will provide a performance to honor those who have come before us and set the stage for our conversations in racial equity. And with that, I hand the baton.
Okay, good morning.
Thanks, Ira. I'm going to take a second just to share my screen with folks. So just give me 1 minute while we do that. Okay, great. Thank you, Sire, for the introduction. My name is Maria Ta. I'm the program director at Ujima Company, as well as a coalition member of Frontline Arts Buffalo, also known as FAB. And I'm joined by my colleague, Heather, who will introduce herself.
And hi, I'm Heather Gring, and I'm a board member with Locust Street Arts, which is how I first became involved with FAB back in 2018. Currently, FAB is also a coalition that includes El Museo, Ujima Theater Company, Locust Street Arts, and the African American Cultural Center. And that's sort of where we started, but our focus is on all frontline arts organizations within Buffalo and Western New York, looking at those arts organizations that are serving communities that are at the forefront of being affected by socioeconomic, environmental, and racial justice. So to say a little bit more about FAB and who we are, so as said, we are a coalition of arts-based organizations, and we advocate and we raise funds for the continuation of the arts in Buffalo, specifically focusing on frontline arts organizations, because we see the ways in which frontline arts organizations have been providing resources that are much more than just the arts, oftentimes with the most limited budgets and sometimes being forgotten or not taken into account in some of the budgetary decisions that are made in our local government. We are committed to advocating for community members to ensure the environmental, economic, and social justice for underrepresented community members in the area. The ways we've been doing this is we've been advocating for equity in the Erie County funding process, and we've been doing a lot of working with the county to help change that process to make it easier for smaller arts organizations to apply for funds. We've also been advocating for representation on the Arts Commission here in Buffalo, seeking to get some new voices on this very important commission. And then we have been fighting and advocating for transparency around public art projects in Buffalo. And we've been doing a lot of that with the support of PPG, having received one of their planks for the 2020 year.
So that's a little bit about us, but we weren't here to talk about us. We were invited into the space to remind us and ground us in our ancestral roots, whatever that means to you. So I am going to open the space up first with a poem by our late Lorna Seal. This poem is called Geronimo, and it's the first poem of her solo show that she performed back when we were on 545 Elmwood. The poem is a story about beginnings, about how we started, about our own journey and our beginnings as human beings. So I invite you into that space. Geronimo. Aunt Vi said the Indians left me on the doorstep. I don't remember what my question was, but I was satisfied with the answer. I used to imagine Geronimo coming down South 11th Avenue from the dead end, beyond which was certain no man's land. And he stops at 513 and lays this bundle, which is me, on the front stoop of the tenement. He could have chosen any house, a pretty house with a lawn and trees. He could have chosen a family with other kids, so I'd have brothers and sisters. But he chose 513, the only tenement on the block, and he thought, good people here. I figured I was well off. At least I knew who my father was. I didn't worry about if Geronimo is my father, then who is my mother? I was immediately reconciled to the idea that he was my father and Ruby was my mother, even though they had never met and it was me knowing both of them that joined them. Yeah, I figured I was well off. I knew my parents. I had a mysterious background, and everyone in my world loved me, despite the fact that I was not truly of them. I was rich. Now I'm going to pass it over to Heather, who's going to walk us through the next part of our exercise.
So we did want to make a space for just a moment of meditation, stillness and breathing to honor our ancestors, to honor those that have helped make us who we are. We invite you to turn off your camera and prepare a space around you. If you want to take a moment to get a nice cozy blanket, make sure you're comfortable and in a good place for just breathing. If there's something close to you that you can hold on to that helps you center with those that you want to hold on to. I'm really grateful to Maria for reading that poem because that really it really brought Lorna very close to me in this time. Lorna Hill was our engine and our rudder with Frontline Arts Buffalo. She really pulled us all together and helped propel us forward, and so many of our successes and what we've been able to do was because of her just incredible, boundless energy. And so we're really heartened to be able to try and now translate that for ourselves. So feel free to turn off your camera, and I'm going to turn it over to Maria to walk us through the meditation. Oh, and I'm sorry, I was supposed to say, I forgot this part. We are going to open up a space for people to share the names of the ancestors that you want to lift up. Maria, do you have the information about how they can do that?
That'll be after, so.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so do take a few minutes to prepare your space, however is most appropriate for you. Give yourself grace, of course. It is a Saturday morning. If we have kids running around, pets running around, I have the landscapers out this morning. Give yourself grace. We don't need to create a space that isn't true and authentic to us. And I invite us all to practice in a short breathing exercise with one another to not only ground ourselves as individuals, but us as a whole group as we move forward through our day. So first, we want to take a deep breath in through our nose. Let it fill your lungs and your body. Feel yourself inflating like a balloon. Hold your breath at the top and let it out through your nose again. Now, the second time that we do it, think about the heat that's produced by your body, the warmth that you feel, the comfort that you can provide your own body. So in through our nose once again, deep breath, holding it in, and letting it back out through our nose. Dumping all of that air as much as we can, letting out all of the toxins that we may be carrying. Feeling that emptiness that's inside us that we can fill in throughout this day. And for our final breath, we're going to take a deep breath in through our nose. And now we are going to release it out of our mouth as wide as you possibly can. If you want to stick your tongue out, this is called lion's breath. It is a cleansing breath. It really helps to ground you and to give you energy. So we'll try that lion's breath one more time. In through our nose and out through our mouth, nice and wide. And now take a few moments to let yourself come back to a breathing cycle that is attuned to your body. Breathe naturally. Ground yourself from wherever you are currently, whether you're sitting in a chair or sitting on the ground or in your bed. Take notice of what's in your surroundings, what energy is coming to you today, what energy you are giving out into the world, and set an intention for yourself for the rest of our morning. What do you want to give, and what do you want to take away?
Thank you so much, Maria.
Thank you. So as Heather mentioned, we are opening up the space to welcome in our ancestors, to those who came before us, however we want to acknowledge them. For folks that are on our call, in our Zoom call here, I invite you to either send in names of those you would like to lift up in the space. On the screen, there's a website at the top, www.menti.com. If you use your phone to go to that website and enter in the code 9781319, you'll be able to send in names of those you'd like for us to lift up in the space this morning. If you're not comfortable doing that, feel free to come off of your mic or use the chat feature in the Zoom here to lift up names of those who came before us that we'd like to enter into our space, to welcome into our space, to help guide us through the rest of this morning. So we'll give folks a few minutes to do that part. And as those names are coming in, I invite those of you who have submitted names to make space for all of these folks that we are asking to come into our space, that we are welcoming into our space, that we are remembering. I'd like to lift up, of course, Lorna C. Hill. I'm lifting up Carl Legg, my grandmother. We'll just give everyone one more minute to offer up that space for those that we are asking to come into our space with us this morning. Thank you, everyone. Please continue to share those. I'll be able to export this page for all of us, and I'll pass it on to the list team if we want to use it in any way.
Thank you.
And now
go ahead, Maria.
We're going to walk into a really quick offering of thanks just to close us out. So first, I invite folks to pick 3 points wherever you are. This is the easiest way for me to offer thanks. So usually it's a left forward and a right, or a right forward and a left. But choose your first point, and we're going to offer thanks to our past, to those who came before us, to the ones we've lifted up and invited into this space, to our ancestors and loved ones whom we've lost, the ones who've paved the way and guided us to where we are now. We thank you. Moving into your second point, wherever that is that you've chosen. Offering of thanks to our present, to our now, to the ones we are on this day, to the communities we serve and the opportunities we have to shape our today, to our mentors, sages, and guides. We thank you. And finally, choosing your third spot, an offering of thanks to your future, to our future, to the futures we wish to build, to the generations that will be impacted by our actions, and to those who will carry our torch forward. We thank you. And of course, as artists, we have to close it out with not only words, but of praises. So I am going to play a very special selection. It's an internal recording of the final song of the Gospel Colonus, which is the last show that Lorna had directed. We are in process of trying to figure out when we can put that show on, since we were cut short because of COVID. But this is the final song of that show. It's a song that is very impactful for all of us as cast members and production members of the show. And it seems most appropriate to lead us into the rest of today. Now let the weeping cease. Let no one mourn again, for love of God will bring you peace. And there is no end. Say now, now, let the weeping cease. Let no one mourn against your nose and there is no end. Say now, now, let the weeping cease. Let no one mourn again. The note is there is no end. No, 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 no. Yeah. Thank you. I'm gonna pass it back to Julie and Syra.
Maria and Heather, so I'll take a moment. That was really exceptional. I'm glad I have a Kleenex box close because that was just a really powerful way of starting the day. And I can't thank you enough. Recognizing the incredible legacy that we all bring to this work because of the leadership, the dedication, the grit, the tireless energy that came from so many of the community members and family members and friends that were lifted up in the list. Thank you for doing such a beautiful job to center us in that space.